Some reports have surfaced that the Toronto Blue Jays are interested in acquiring Corbin Burnes from the Milwaukee Brewers. So we'll break down those reports and we'll throw out some potential trades for you guys to react to. So you won't want to miss this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside co-host Nick Gosse. We want to thank you all for helping us hit 1.5K subs. I believe we're at 1.6K right now, so keep smashing that like button, keep subscribing to our channel, and you get free daily Jays content in return. What's better than that?
It's been amazing. Support's been unreal, like Peter said. Quick reminder, 87.3% of you guys who are watching are not subscribed. So if you're watching the video right now and you enjoy daily Jays content, hit the sub button, and it means the world to us, and the growth's been unreal. But we have some crazy stuff to get into today. Obviously, free agency started today, so there's some stuff going down, and lots of rumors are circulating. And one big one that is circulated is about the Blue Jays and Corbin Burnes. I will pop up two reports. The first one being from Victor Silva saying sources say Blue Jays are looking into Corbin Burnes. This is the same guy that broke the news about the Jays being interested in acquiring Jacob deGrom and I believe Justin Verlander. He seems to get a lot of recognition around Twitter, and his tweets seem to do well. So I saw that yesterday, and then this one dropped recently from MLB Nerds saying teams have already reached out to Milwaukee to discuss their top three starting pitchers, Burnes, Woodruff, Peralta. While Burnes is less likely to be moved, there's a scenario where he is traded. Possible fits: Dodgers, Baltimore, Toronto, and the Diamondbacks. Obviously, Toronto being there. So that is two rumors and reports that have mentioned the Blue Jays and Corbin Burnes talks. What are your initial thoughts on all that, Peter?
I'd love to see the Jays go after either one of those three guys. They're all quality starting pitchers, especially Corbin Burnes, one of the top pitchers in the entire MLB. One thing that scares me there is that Baltimore is in on these trade talks. And if Baltimore can find a way to get an ace pitcher with that young core that they have, the AL East just got that much scarier.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's shocking to see the Diamondbacks there, but yeah, for the
Yeah,
AL
that's
East,
weird.
yeah, the Orioles have been unreal. Last year, obviously, they outperformed what everyone thought they'd be, and they have a crazy good young core. So if they can get Corbin Burnes, that would be terrifying. Now, for the Blue Jays front, like you said, I'm good with any three of them. Obviously, the big prize there is Corbin Burnes and Woodruff, but mainly Corbin Burnes, who has 2 years left in his contract. But man, it would take a lot to get Corbin Burnes away from the Brewers. Obviously,
Sure.
if they're going into a rebuild like we think they will be, it would make sense to trade Corbin Burnes. And if we're the Blue Jays, we'll throw out some trade packages in a couple minutes. But if we're the Jays, I'd be willing to give up almost anything. And I'll pop up his stats here quickly for you guys to see just how good he is. Um, Ever since he entered the league, he's been an ace. Obviously, besides 2019, where he had a horrible 2019, which is kind of weird. But ever since 2020, he's been elite, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Won the Cy Young in 2021. Just look at the ERA, always sub 3. Besides that one anomaly year, was an All-Star last year. Absolute workhorse, and he strikes out a ton of hitters, which is something the Jays pitching staff tends to lack. Besides Gosman.
Yeah, 243 strikeouts and 202 innings last season. And the year before that, he won the Cy Young. So, yeah, he's one of the elite pitchers in the MLB. He's probably the second best pitcher in the National League right now behind Sandy Alcantara. So, obviously, Jacob deGrom is in there too when he's healthy, but we don't get to say that very often. But Corbin Burnes, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Milwaukee's going to look to trade this guy. I think they should because they showed last deadline that they're not willing to contend. They got rid of Josh Hader, who is arguably one of the best closers in baseball. I know he had a bit of a down year there, but that just shows me that they're ready to move on with this rebuild. And Corbin Burnes, when his 2 years are up, is he really going to re-sign in Milwaukee in a situation that seems to be headed in the wrong direction? I don't think so.
And yeah, that's the question that obviously Brewers fans in front office will be asking is, will Corbin Burnes resign? And obviously the Jays front office is also asking about him as these reports have surfaced. And again, if I'm the Jays and he is remotely available, you throw a lot, to get him, especially if you think he's going to resign, which for some reason I feel like he would. I feel like most pitchers these days who come to Toronto are, tending to resign with, our young core and stuff like that. But let's get into some potential trades because we have three today, and I want to let you guys in the comment section below, let us know what you think of them. But we'll pop the first one up here after the little trade machine graphic that we have popping up now. We don't get to use this that often, but we're gonna start using it throughout the off season here. So here's
You
the.
know,
Go ahead.
yeah. You know the off season is upon us when we break out the
Oh,
trade machine. That's
oh.
that's for sure.
Let's rip out the first one here. So this one is Blue Jays get Corbin Burnes, and the Brewers get Santiago Espinal, Gabby Moreno, and Zuleta. Peter, I'll let you analyze this trade and what you think it means for both sides.
Okay, now you see the value at the bottom there. Pop it up one more time, Nick. 78.3 total value. I don't know how they calculate that on this website. I feel like some players are a little overvalued and some are a little undervalued. When it comes to Corbin Burnes, I think he might be a little undervalued in the sense that there are players that have a higher rating than him that should not have a higher rating. But so the Blue Jays would get Corbin Burnes and they would give up Santiago Espinal, Gabby Moreno, and Yosver Zulueta, who is one of the top pitching prospects in the Blue Jays farm system. Now, Santiago Espinal, he was an all-star last season, probably not a deserved all-star selection, let's call it what it is, but still was an all-star selection. He plays elite defense at second base. Now, they have Colton Wong over there, so I don't know if they need another second baseman, but Espinal is very versatile and can offer some relief in whatever position you put him. Obviously, Gabby Moreno is our prized possession. He's our top prospect, and he's the guy that you can fetch the most value for. And there's all the reports that talk about Gabby Moreno getting traded. You got to bring a lot of value in return. You got to get him involved in a blockbuster deal. So this would be a blockbuster deal. And Yosver Zulueta, one of the top pitching prospects, got electric stuff. He's pitched great in A ball. I think he should be in Double A this season, so he's still a ways away from the major leagues, but very interesting prospect, and he fits the Brewers' timeline. So I don't know if this gets it done. The Jays might need to add a couple more sweeteners in there, but this is definitely a starting point for a Corbin Burnes trade that could potentially happen here.
Yeah. Out of our three trade proposals we have to show you guys, this is definitely the one that is probably the most likely if he is to get traded, and the one that we'll obviously dive the most in depth to. I'll pop it up one more time here, like Peter said. So I agree with everything you said. Moreno's obviously going to give us the biggest package back, so he needs to be included in any Burnes deal. And then you have Espinal and Zuleta. Zuleta is kind of an underrated pitching prospect. And then you have Espinal, which again, they have Colton Wong. But Espinal still provides value, even if it's just off a bench or if they swing Colton Wong somewhere else, depending how they do their rebuild. But I think this it might be a bit short from the Blue Jays front if you're the Brewers, but it's as close as you're going to get. And yeah, this website, it is by far the best website for evaluating trades compared to the other ones, but obviously it's not perfect. It has its flaws, but yeah, I like this trade a lot. The next two are kind of a bit more we have one especially that's a bit, out
Mhm.
there to let you guys talk about in the comments, but we'll get into the next one here now. We'll touch on it a bit more briefly. So I'll touch on this one. It's Bichette for Adames and Woodruff. This one's pretty more straightforward, much more straightforward than the last one. So it's Bichette, obviously, our star shortstop. And I know you guys in the comment section have mixed opinions. Some people are saying trade Bo. Some people are saying keep Bo. So obviously, mixed opinions there. But for Adames, who is an underrated shortstop, an excellent defender, had a really solid year last year. He hit around 240 with excellent defense. And then you obviously get Brandon Woodruff, who was a bit, not as valuable as Corbin Burnes, but he is still a phenomenal starting pitcher in this league, and he still has some control left. So I like this deal a lot if you are of the camp of getting rid of Bichette. I just don't know if you're getting rid of Bichette, if this is, if at least the Jays front office will think this is enough from the Brewers.
I think it's definitely enough to get back for Bo Bichette, and this is my problem with the trade machine itself, where Bo Bichette has a 94.1 value, whatever that takes into account. That's what the number is. And Corbin Burnes, a guy who's won a Cy Young, a guy who is one of the best pitchers in all of the major leagues, has a 78.3 value. Now I don't get where they're coming up with these numbers. Doesn't make sense to me. But Willie Adames, he had 38 home runs last season. That's unbelievable. That's a lot of home runs from the shortstop position, and he plays elite defense. He's got a cannon of an arm. So yeah, it's definitely enough. And Brandon Woodruff could rely on him to give you innings, give you a 3.2 ERA, and strike a lot of guys out. And he throws hard. So yeah, it's enough value. I don't think the Jays are giving up enough in that sense. But I mean, I don't know if the trade would have went through on that trade machine there if I added some more pieces for the Jays. But I think they'd have to give up a prospect in return as well.
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree on this one. I'm much more of a Bo fan than you are. I mean, he literally led the league in hits the past 2 years. I don't know if he led it last
I
year, but he led
get
it the
that.
year
I
before.
get
But
that.
obviously his defense is a bit worse. I just think Bo's value. I think you're underrating Bo's value a little bit in the sense of what other teams will give up. Like he's a young, controllable shortstop, and I think this trade machine takes into account control, age, all of that. Obviously, Adames is a bit older, and Woodruff, he's not an ace. So you'd think if they're trading Bo Bichette, you'd want to get back a number one or number two. But at the same time, I completely agree with you in the sense of if we're going to want to change things up, this would be probably the best way to do it because you're getting an established shortstop back and another starting pitcher. So I kind of do agree with you more than I may have originally said, but I just think that I don't know. I don't know if either team does this deal. I mean, I think the Brewers
Yeah.
would do this deal though.
You think? I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely tough to say. I mean, Woodruff has had some injury history, so that could be a factor into his trade value. But Willie Adames, I mean, I think he's one of the more underrated shortstops in the MLB. He hits for power. He has unbelievable defense, and he's not the fastest guy. And yes, Bo Bichette led the league in hits, but he also had the most at bats, and he had he played every single game. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. I like Bo Bichette. I think he's an offensive superstar, but his defense is just not championship caliber, and it might be someday. He works very hard, but we've said it multiple times, Nick. We
Yeah.
remember those 2015, 2016 ALCS runs. Troy Tulowitzki, he was not the same hitter that he was in Colorado when he got to Toronto, but man, his defense was elite, and you could rely on him to make those routine plays and to even make the spectacular plays. So as soon as he got there, the the middle defense just skyrocketed and it put us into contention and we wouldn't have been in contention with Jose Reyes. So
Yeah.
that's just my point. You need an elite defender up the middle, catcher, shortstop, and center field.
Yeah, I'm starting to agree a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, if they want to switch things up and they want to move away from Bo, this is probably one of the better trades that they could do. And it also depends on what other positions they get. But we'll move on to the final one. We'll touch on this one very briefly because this one's more of a long shot.
Yeah.
But we'll pop on it out here now. So this is Burnes, Cartani, and Brandon Williams for Berea, Jansen, Martinez, Moreno, Tiedemann. Does this get done? Almost no shot. But it's fun to look at, fun for you guys to comment about. We're giving up our top three best prospects there in Danny Jansen, but you get one of the best, closer slash setup men in the league in Brandon Williams. Obviously, he moved to closer once Hader left, and you're still getting Corbin Burnes. I think if this deal was to be done in this framework, you'd want some sort of extension in place or at least be very confident that you're going to get an extension for Burnes. But yeah, this one's kind of a long shot. But do you have any quick opinions on it before we wrap up?
Williams is an unbelievable reliever. I think his changeup is one of the best pitches in the major leagues. We saw the Brewers this season. Actually, we played against them in Milwaukee, and Evan Williams came in and he just shut us down.
Yep.
We
Remember
faced
that.
Corbin Burnes too, so we saw what kind of impact he could have and how electric his stuff is. So yeah, if you can, like we said, the Brewers are headed towards a rebuild, whether they want to say it or not. I mean, they're trading away all their valuable assets, and I think it's just writing on the wall at this point that they are going to trade these guys and not let them hit free agency and lose them for nothing. So yeah, it's a bit of a long shot trade. You rarely see three players going one way and five players going the other way, but it's something that is not out of the realm of possibility because the Brewers should be headed towards a rebuild.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about at the very least for trades like this. And yeah, if they are, we don't know if they're heading towards rebuild. We like to think so, but obviously their GM said a quick little tidbit here at the end. Once they traded Josh Hader, he said at the end of the season that he didn't expect. They still wanted to compete because they were in a playoff spot, but he didn't expect trading Josh Hader to have the effect that it did on not only their bullpen but the clubhouse. So who knows where they'll go from here? Maybe they make tons of splashes in free agency and try to contend, or like the reports are saying, they'll trade Corbin Burnes and then maybe rebuild from there. And who knows? There's no report on Devin Williams' trade yet, so this was kind of just something we threw together. But the other two are definitely, especially the first one, I think it would be one that might be interesting to see what happens this offseason. And that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys so much for the support again. It's been unreal. We're almost at 1,700 subscribers. We're approaching 2,000 faster than we could have ever imagined, and it truly means the world to us.
Yeah, it's just been an unbelievable ride, and we'll be back tomorrow with another video.
See you then.